Welcome to City Club of Portland's Friday Forum. I'm Greg McPherson, president of City Club. For 100 years, City Club of Portland is where civic-minded people come together to make Portland and Oregon a better place for everyone to live, work, and explore. We're gathered at the Sentinel Hotel, along with all of you listening on OPB or viewing on Portland Community Media or YouTube. The generous support of City Club's corporate and media partners enables us to put on the state's best civic programs week after week. Our media partner is Oregon Business Magazine, and our current Friday Forum sponsors are Bank of the Cascades, Stoll Reeves LLP, Family Care Health, Russell Fellows Properties, and The Standard. In addition, Wells Fargo is a sponsor for this Friday Forum program. Please show our appreciation for all of them. Joining us today is Portland Mayor Charlie Hales. Mayor Hales will deliver his final State of the City address today. He will reflect on the progress Portland has made over the past 3 years and lay out what he still wants to accomplish to ensure he leaves Portland on the path to a bright future. Charlie Hales took office as mayor in January 2013. His term has focused on sound management, livability, and equal opportunity, helping to ensure the city is a place where all Portlanders can thrive. He previously served on the Portland City Council from 1993 to 2002, where he led on planning, parks, and transportation investments that helped create the Portland we love today. Please welcome Portland Mayor Charlie Hales to City Club.
Thank you, and happy 100th birthday, City Club. Hear, hear. It's a great privilege to serve as your mayor, and this is my fourth and final State of the City speech, but I do plan to again formally report back to Portlanders at the end of this year. Thanks to my wonderful family, my wife Nancy, my daughter Carolyn are here, for all your love and support. Thank you so much, honey. In a moment, I'm going to ask all the elected officials here to stand, but first, I just want to recognize and commend my colleagues on the City Council. Commissioner Steve Novick is here, Commissioner Dan Salzman, Commissioner Amanda Fritz, and Commissioner Nick Fish, along with Auditor Mary Hall Caballero, and all of our partners in public service. We do things in partnership in this city, and I appreciate yours. Thank you very much. Special thanks to our city employees, all of them, for all the great work that they do every day. They go above and beyond so often. Last weekend, the world came to Portland for the World Indoor Track and Field Championships. 600 athletes, people from 140 countries. We were on the world stage, and we were the star. The organizers of that event told me that Portland was amazing and that we provided the best experience they've ever had in working with a host city. Our city earned its own gold medal last weekend. Congratulations, Portland. You know, I can never get enough opportunities to acknowledge what Portlanders do. You all give so much to the city that I love. Let me try something here. First, all the elected officials who are here, you're putting yourself out there, you're doing difficult work. We have everyone here from our Congresswoman Suzanne Bonamici to the Mayor of Hermiston, David Drotzman, and a wonderful group of local and legislative officials. Would you all please stand, but this time remain standing. Here. So do remain standing because I'm going to ask some folks to join you. Would the best mayor's office staff that's ever served this city please stand? Let's get everyone who's working on police reforms and the relationship between the Police Bureau and our community to stand. Chief, officers, friends, Kathleen. Everybody who's working on our community center initiative, who's working to provide access and opportunity to the next generation through programs, mentorships, funding support, please stand. Jenny, all of you, thank you. Everyone who's a housing advocate, no, stay standing, Walter, you can't sit down yet. Everyone who's a housing advocate, part of a service organization, part of a business that's generously helped in our housing and homelessness crisis, please join your friends in standing here. A few more. We're going to get some more company for you. Everybody who's working on planning or land use in this city, and really that ought to be everybody. Everybody who's served on a committee or commented on a plan, all the earnest citizen planners who shape our city, please stand. Mike Hauk, thank you. Chris Smith, all of you. Everybody who's a climate champion, who's working to save the world from the greatest threat of all. Please stand. Yes, Mia, thank you. Okay, this is going to be like the end of the auction. Everybody who's worked in some way to make Portland an even better place, please stand. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. All right, stay standing. Stay standing. This is too great. Wait a minute. If you weren't standing, you must be new to Portland, so welcome. As mayor, I so appreciate what all of you do, and it was fun to celebrate you in that moment. You give of your time, you give of your money and your hearts. You show that as different as our experiences are, we are bound together by the fact that we are all Portlanders. We are 600,000 Portlanders with 600,000 stories of our city. My story is that twice in my life, my love for this city has impelled me to do something that's kind of a stretch for me, actually, running for public office. The actual extrovert in our house is, of course, Nancy. But the chance to make this great place better has called me. I have been busy in that work, and using all the tools at hand, have been endeavoring to put our city into good repair. We've delivered on this. We've reformed the city's finances from top to bottom, including right-sizing urban renewal, putting $800 million of value back on the tax rolls, providing more funding for schools, parks, all the other local services. We've made good on our pledge to focus on basic services, opening new parks in East Portland, building sidewalks, and tripling our annual repaving effort to over 100 miles of streets each year. We've recruited excellent public administrators, many of them in this room, to lead important city agencies. We have simply the best in the business working for us. And we're changing the culture and practices of the Portland Police Bureau. But today, I don't want to just talk about the progress we're making and the work of the next year. I want to also ask you to look over the horizon with me to how we will shape Portland into the future for the 600,000 of us and for quite a few more. As a commissioner in the private sector, and now as mayor, I've seen how Portlanders can come together in common cause to shape the city that we love. A Portland where a teenage immigrant basketball player can form a team, talk to his mayor, fill a gym with new Portlanders, and then make a difference in the lives of thousands of teenagers. A Portland in which smarts and creativity can take someone from the streets to a successful tech startup. A Portland whose landlords held units in a red-hot rental market so that we could house all of our homeless veterans. A Portland where neighborhood activists can speak at great length about the difference between R1 and R2.5 zoning. A Portland in which a group of women calling themselves the Raging Grannies serenaded City Council to demand climate action. A Portland that we all love. I've had the privilege in my career, as Greg said, to help mold that Portland, reforming the Fire Bureau, building the country's first modern streetcar, launching the Pearl District in the South Waterfront, bringing community centers to underserved neighborhoods. Those were intentional efforts to address pressing challenges. Today, we face more real challenges. Youth violence reaching record highs, institutional racism still blocking opportunity, an affordability crisis forcing people out of their homes, climate change causing extreme weather that hits our most vulnerable neighbors hardest. We as Portlanders must take on those challenges, seizing what I believe are the 5 big opportunities we have right now in order to shape our city and keep its future bright. First, we have the opportunity to cement our ambitious police reform efforts and build the diverse, community-oriented police force that we want for our future. Second, to provide equitable access and economic opportunity so that every Portlander, no matter their race, class, or ability, knows that this is their city and experiences its blessings. Third, to carry out our housing agenda so that we have enough housing and shelters for everyone, and so sleeping outside won't be a terrible reality for anyone. Fourth, to manage growth with intentionality, making sure Portland will be a livable city for all 800,000 of us 20 years from now. And fifth, we have the opportunity to continue to lead the world in climate action, making Portland healthier while we share responsibility for this global challenge. For each of these, we have an expectation of how life in Portland should be. We expect our police bureau to work in partnership with all 600,000 Portlanders, de-escalating crises and solving problems. We expect Portland to be a city of opportunity for everyone. We expect our city will remain a place where housing is in reach for all of us. We expect Portland to be a leader in the world. And we expect that we will grow, and we will make Portland even more wonderful with that growth while carefully preserving the heritage that we enjoy together. I'll start with what I think are probably the 2 most underreported stories in Portland: gang violence and the big changes in the Portland Police Bureau. Last May, at the East Portland Community Center, a 16-year-old fired 3 shots from a revolver into a crowd of teens leaving a Sweet 16 birthday party. Miraculously, no one was hit. He was charged, ultimately, with 2 Measure 11 crimes. I was there that night. As police commissioner, I was glad the young man was arrested without harm. But as a dad, I was devastated. Kids were put at deadly risk, and a young man is headed to prison, not to college. That was but one incident among the grim record that our city set last year in youth and gang violence. 193 violence-related incidents, 185 shootings, 1,186 bullet casings scattered across our streets, 73 people shot, 15 of them killed. 2 weekends ago, a similar incident occurred at the Rosewood Community Center, but this time, 4 young people were wounded. To me, this is an example of a broken system, a system in which a 16-year-old can even get a hold of a gun, a system in which teenagers are out being recruited by gangs because they can't afford admission to a community center, to play sports, or to get homework help, a system in which Portland as a whole isn't outraged when a young black man is killed in a gang shooting. We as a community can do more, and we must do more to counteract this terrible trend. We are 600,000 neighbors, and each and every story counts. That young man is our shared responsibility. I have hope, though, in the face of this crisis, when I see people of great courage working for change. Enough is Enough is a community-led campaign by mothers and fathers who've lost children to gang violence. Lucy Mache is a passionate advocate calling on witnesses to come forward with information about crimes. She's here. She's fueled in her work by the grief that she feels over the unsolved murder of her son LJ. She calls on all of us to support Enough is Enough. Lucy, we all should. Thank you. I have hope when I see people turn towards each other as neighbors and as family. The Community Peace Collaborative meets every other Friday at North Precinct. It's led by Antoinette Edwards, our community mother. The community leaders and police officers and assistant DAs and nonprofits who gather there, they take youth violence personally. They're at the table as partners, or rather as family, to make a difference. Shortly after that East Portland Community Center incident, which could have resulted in tragedy, the 16-year-old father came to a CPC meeting. He thanked the officers involved for the restraint they showed in arresting his son safely. Because of that restraint, after the 16-year-old serves his sentence, he'll have the opportunity to start a new life after incarceration. Antoinette knows, Lucy knows, the CPC members know, we all know that we need to do more than react. We must get upstream in the lives of our kids, reach them one by one, and help them one by one over the hurdles that block their success. It's not all about police and victims advocates and gang outreach workers, as good as they are. That work happens downstream. We must get upstream. That's why my single largest new program in last year's budget was the $2 million Mayor's Community Center initiative. It didn't receive a lot of media attention or fanfare, but it's provided free admission to community centers and free access to teen programming for more than 20,000 Portland youth. Thank you, Commissioner Amanda Fritz. Many of you here saw what happened last summer at Matt Dishman Community Center when 1,000 kids filled that building. That should happen every summer. That's why this year my proposed budget will institutionalize the Community Center initiative so that soon all of our teens will have free access to all of our community centers. And thank you. And that's why we invested so much before and why we're going to double our investment in summer works. Last summer, we sponsored 150 at-risk youth and paid internships with the city. Thank you, Commissioner Loretta Smith, for your passionate advocacy for this work. We're going to do the same, or maybe even more, this year, because this is how we break the cycle. This is how we do it. We mentor, we hire an intern, we support a recreation program or an outreach program. And let me say this, for anybody here who has hiring power, I'm asking you to sponsor an intern and help the program achieve 1,000 placements this year. It will be meaningful for the intern, and I'll tell you, it'll be wonderful for you. Here's how I know why. We've had them in our office. Our Summer Works intern, Stefan Hartley, has grown up in our office. He found purpose and inspiration there. Thank you, Stefan. You should have seen this guy run a big community meeting to help plan that community centers initiative. He was shaking like a leaf, but he pulled it off, and it was wonderful. And I'll tell you, as an employer, it doesn't get any better than watching one of your team grow. And Stefan and the others in this program are great examples of what it means to invest in new talent. Try it. Join us. Hire one of these people. Now I want to talk with you about the second most underreported story in Portland, the big positive changes in the Portland Police Bureau. This month, United States Attorney General Loretta Lynch visited Portland. She didn't come to enforce the city's Department of Justice settlement agreement. She didn't come because of a tragic police shooting here. She didn't come to Portland for the myriad issues that are roiling police forces across the country. Attorney General Lynch came to Portland to praise our city's progress as one of 6 cities that are models of community-oriented policing. Thank you, Kathleen Sadat, and under the excellent leadership of Chief Larry O'Day, who I appointed a year and a half ago, we have a different formula here, and I appreciate that the Attorney General noticed. Thank you. We've worked really hard to avoid those national trends of increasing tension and hostility. Relationship relationship-based police work is not a vague notion for Larry O'Day. He's making it very real in the Portland Police Bureau. In fact, the very evening after the Attorney General was here, Chief O'Day had his first meeting with his newly formed Muslim Advisory Council. It's modeled after the African American, LGBTQ, and Slavic advisory councils that he already works with. A photo from that meeting of Portland Muslims made it into an Arab World newspaper. The photographer's laudatory comment was, "This is the most diverse gathering of Muslims outside of Mecca." Nice work, Chief. Thank you. Another reason Attorney General Lynch came to Portland was to praise our great progress in dealing with people experiencing mental illness. Police officers are the first responders in mental health crises. As I talked about in last year's State of the City speech in my story, the sad story of Denoris McClendon. Through new and continually evolving improvements in training, our officers are saving the lives of some of the most vulnerable Portlanders. This is a constant challenge. We lose friends and neighbors to suicide every week. We lost a Portlander Monday. But again, I have hope. On one December day last year, Portland police responded to 4 separate attempted suicides. Our officers used their enhanced crisis intervention training and were able to get these 4 people safely to care, not harming themselves. One day, 4 lives saved. Last summer, Officer Dave Arnold responded to a man parked in his vehicle with a loaded rifle in the front seat. Our officer again used his training to recognize that this man was in crisis. He responded with compassion and understanding and good training and without force. As a result, a man who was suicidal and armed was taken safely again to get help. He lived not long after that to see the birth of his child. In a letter to Officer Arnold, the man's partner wrote, "One would imagine you see the worst in humanity doing the work that you do. But you need to know that because of your humanity, you saved our family, and we have another chance now." Thank you, Officer Arnold. In last year's State of the City speech, I said I wanted to come back here this year and say that we have a psychiatric emergency center. And through an unprecedented partnership with Legacy, Kaiser, OHSU, Adventist, Multnomah County, we do. The Unity Center opens in October. Thank you, all those good partners. We need to keep working on how we police and on who our police officers are. We know we can make progress. When I was first made commissioner in charge of the Fire Bureau, there were 6 African American and 3 women firefighters in a workforce of 800. You used to say you could hold a meeting of the African American Firefighters Association in a minivan. Getting the Bureau to better reflect our city took aggressive reform. Now, a decade later, about 20% of our firefighters are women and people of color. Now we have more work to do, but we have laid the groundwork so that our public safety bureaus in the future will fully reflect the communities they serve. A shining example of that progress, our first ever female fire chief, Erin Janssens, who I'm sorry to see go as she retires this month. Thank you, Chief Janssens, for your 28 years. So with police staffing, we have a crisis and an opportunity. A crisis because we now have 45 vacant officer positions and 28 non-sworn positions that we need to fill. Officers have been working a huge amount of overtime to keep our city safe while we're understaffed. An opportunity because we're determined to fill those vacancies with quality men and women from Portland's diverse communities and who believe in relationship-based policing. That's why we've accelerated the hiring process, so instead of taking a year to hire a new officer, it'll take 6 months. And I'm proposing incentives similar to what is used in the private sector to attract and retain quality officers. 1, raise the starting pay. 2, a signing bonus for new hires. And 3, an award for other employees who recruit new hires. Now, under Oregon law, we actually have to negotiate with the union in order to pay our officers more money. But that shouldn't take long, should it, Portland Police Association? In 5 years, almost 80% of our patrol officers will be new to the police bureau. Do you know somebody who believes in community-oriented policing and likes to help people? I'm asking you today to have them visit joinportlandpolice.com. Last year, we hired our first Somali-born police officer, Khalid Ibrahim, and Portland's Somali community came out to celebrate. Your family can be there for the next celebration. JoinPortlandPolice.com. Check it out, tell a friend. I'm also looking ahead to the future. We're going to continue to need good police officers from diverse backgrounds. And we want Portland's youth to be equipped with the right knowledge to get good paying jobs. But a career in public safety might not be the first thing that they think of. So today I'm announcing an exciting venture with Portland Public Schools and Portland Community College. These great partners are joining with the city to create a public safety academy that will train Portland youth for careers at the police, fire, and emergency communications bureaus. This idea originated in a conversation that I had with Portland School Board member Paul Anthony when we were celebrating the success of Jefferson High School achieving an 80% graduation rate, 14% higher than the year before. And he came up with this idea and said, let's do this. Good work. We want those educated young people that are graduating to be our future generations of police officers, firefighters, and 911 operators, shaping our public safety bureaus so that they better reflect all of Portlanders' stories. Thank you, Carol Smith from Portland Public Schools and Portland Community College for being great partners in Paul's good idea. Thank you so much. We need to provide that kind of equitable access to our city's resources and economic opportunities so that every Portlander, no matter their race, class, or ability, knows that this is their city and can experience its blessings. What does that opportunity look like? It looks like Lamar Winston Jr., who's breaking the cycle of gang involvement in his family. He's going to study sports medicine on a full-ride scholarship to the University of Oregon. It looks like Ariel Hammond, who was inspired by public service during her summer works internship in my office and now works for the Office of Equity and Human Rights. It looks like, yes, Ariel's great, thank you. It looks like Corrine Phillips, who took a small business class at the Native American Youth and Family Center, then opened her own flower shop, and then got a chance to scale up with a boost from the Portland Development Commission. It looks like Marcia Hayes, who left incarceration, worried that she wouldn't be able to get a job, but will now be able to start a new life because she'll be judged by her skills and not by her past. It looks like the Al-Baradon family. The Al-Baradon family are Syrian refugees who escaped a war zone. I'm proud that our city was eager to welcome refugees with open arms. Nancy and I were in the group that met them at the airport. It was really inspiring. And I say this, Mr. Trump, you should try it, and then you'll see that these aren't dangerous people. They're new Portlanders. They're new Americans. We welcome them here in Portland. Opportunity for all 600,000 Portlanders and their individual stories starts with jobs, and Portland is now on the rise with new opportunities. Listen to the breadth of what's happening in our city's economic progress. Under Armour moved their shoe design center here from Baltimore. I'm proud that my visit to their headquarters paid off. Lattice Semiconductor moved from the suburbs to downtown Portland. Zoom Plus Healthcare also made the move. They announced this morning. I was there with their employees. They're moving 300 people from Hillsborough to Portland. Tech companies like Indenero are moving up from the Silicon Valley. The Portland Mercado will celebrate its one-year anniversary in April. And a new Asian Health and Services Center will soon rise in Lentz. So, yes, Dr. Zito is here. Somali cab drivers just formed their own cab company, PDX Yellow Cab. Yeah. Clayland, an earth and floors business, grew up and is growing faster now because Sukita Krimmel received a PDC Technical and Expansion Assistance Project support. EcoTrust's Red on Salmon. Sam Beebe is here. It's going to be an amazing new marketplace for Portland's makers community and for food. We're seeing that kind of creativity all across our city. And we're seeing new business leadership with new ideas about how business and government can work together, becoming a voice for the new economy. We should celebrate and support Mara Zepeda, the CEO of Switchboard, who's formed a new business group, the Portland Independent Chamber of Commerce. That has a nice ring to it, Portland Independent Chamber of Commerce. Now that's an idea whose time has come. Congratulations, Mara. Progressive businesses like these support and rely on progressive public policy. That's why Portland is third in the world for the number of benefit corporations, and now we're aiming to be first. It's a good fit with who we are. Another progressive public policy. In last year's State of the City, I called on us to ban the box, and as Commissioner Novick said, we banned the hell out of the box. Now, prospective employees have a chance to make their case. Employers have to wait until after the conditional offer phase to ask a candidate about their criminal record. This is the best chance for people who've served time to be considered on their skills and abilities rather than dismissed for their past mistakes. To stop the cycle of imprisonment, we need to give people the opportunity not to return to crime. There's no better opportunity than a job. This is good public policy. In a city with a 4.1% unemployment rate, there's no excuse to exclude returning citizens who've done their time. And now it's the law. Thank you, City Council. A job that pays enough to keep hardworking employees above the poverty line provides even more opportunity. In last year's State of the City, I announced that we would raise the minimum wage for full-time city workers and contractors to $15 an hour, a fair wage so that our workers are able to live outside of poverty. With Commissioner Saltzman's partnership, we did. Thank you, Dan. Well done. And progressive Portland businesses like Ruby Receptionists, Grand Central Bakery, Porque No, New Seasons, they increased their employees' wages to well above the state minimum and helped us lobby the legislature to increase everyone's minimum wage. And now, thanks to Governor Kate Brown's leadership and the rest of the city and state, will see an increase as well. Thank you, Governor Brown, Senate Majority Leader Jenny Burdick, House Majority Leader Jennifer Williamson, and our great Portland legislative delegation. Thank you all for our great session. We've passed other policies in the last year to hold the city accountable for equitable hiring. Diversity brings new ideas and broad representation to government. The new Charles Jordan standard, Portland's version of the NFL Rooney Rule, requires that a diverse field of candidates be interviewed for key city positions. We get to exercise this policy right now as we recruit new leaders for the Portland Development Commission and the Portland Fire Bureau. Opportunity like this needs to be the norm, not the exception. And we're taking access to opportunity into the future. But you know, city government isn't always on the cutting edge of technology, even though I know how to take a selfie. We're partnering with Dina Perot and iUrban Teen to have a team of 8 teenagers build a cell phone app for our youth to easily access information about our community center programs and the public transit to take them. And we're creating a program at Charles Jordan Community Center where other teens will continue to learn coding and keep that app updated. Thanks to Dina for creatively connecting our youth. Thank you. With that program, we can help other youth accomplish what Tyrone Poole did. Tyrone is a graduate of the 2014 PDC Startup Challenge. After suffering an injury while he was training to be a Portland firefighter, he ended up with no income and eventually exhausted all his resources. He became homeless. Out of this tragedy, and with his smarts and drive, he created a program to match renters with available units at the touch of a button and with no application fee. That's the kind of idea, the kind of solution that's most likely to come from someone who's faced the problem of searching for housing and getting turned down. With courage, community, and collaboration, we are building a future that ensures the most accessible community centers, the most opportunity for young people and ex-offenders, the most diverse workforce, the best Portland that we can be. We need Tyrone and other creative leaders to be creative as we grapple with two of our most challenging issues: housing affordability, and homelessness. No problem has erupted more forcefully during my administration. Let me tell you about Carl. Carl's a high school student. Carl's dad has been in jail since he was 6. His stepfather, a gang member, ended up in jail also. Carl has a lot of anger. He's already been in trouble with the law and on probation. Now his stepdad's out of jail, but because of his record, he and Carl can't live together. So Carl is homeless. He's couch surfing, or sometimes he's sleeping in a car. He's not getting a shower, he's getting very little sleep, and he's showing up at class as best he can. One day, his principal was observing a science class, and the teacher posed an arcane question about chemistry and said, "Who's got a theorem about what reaction would take place when you mix these substances?" Carl raised his hand and laid out this really brilliant, accurate analysis of how the acids and solids would combine. His principal, Dawn Hoya Jackson, was in the back of the classroom listening to all this. And at lunch, she took him aside and said, "How did you know that? I know you're sleeping in a car. I know you didn't get a lot of sleep last night. I know you're coming to school hungry. How did you do that?" Carl's eyes lit up and he said, "I love science. I want to be a scientist." Carl's not going to be a scientist unless he has a place to call home. That's why housing and homelessness are our third big challenge, our third big opportunity. Let me be clear. Carl shouldn't be living in a car or a tent or a shelter. I don't believe anyone should be living in a car or a tent or a shelter. And Carl is not a criminal for having to live in a car or a tent or a shelter. No one is. Carl's still not in stable housing, nor are thousands of homeless kids. That's right. Thousands of homeless kids, 420 homeless students in the David Douglas School District alone. That's why our City Council declared a state of emergency in housing and homelessness in October. What does that mean? 3 things. First, rapid action. Second, deliberate experimentation. And third, real money. My driving principle is that the best way to improve life on the streets in Portland is for our police officers to be able to say, "You can't sleep here, but you can sleep there." So first, rapid action. Our goal under the state of emergency was to open 650 shelter beds. In the first 5 months, we've already created 575. Partnerships with the federal government opened 170 beds for women and couples at the Jerome Sears Armory, and the Multnomah Village neighbors have generously donated food, clothing, and kindness there. Barry and Jordan Menashe responded to Commissioner Saltzman's call to use vacant building space as temporary shelters. Thank you, Commissioner Saltzman, for your passion on this issue, and to Barry and Jordan for that incredible generosity. Got 100 men inside. Multnomah County, under Chair Deborah Kafori's leadership, converted a former strip club into a family shelter with as many as 175 occupied beds on a given night. Thank you, Chair Kafori and Multnomah County, for being a great partner. Because of this kind of collective effort and the kind of work that we've seen at First Congregational Church and Do Good Multnomah, where they used the vacant church chapel as a place for 13 beds for homeless veterans. Because of this kind of effort, 690 vets are now in housing in our city. That's a great accomplishment. Want to help on this challenge? Don't buy a billboard. Donate or volunteer to one of our great local nonprofits like Blanchet House or Outside In or Central City Concern. Buy a Street Roots newspaper every week. Have some real estate? Follow the Menashe family's lead and make some space available for a temporary shelter. Be a YIMBY, yes, in my backyard, like Ann Bocci or Karen Story, who organized Multnomah Village neighbors into a sandwich brigade to help feed people at the Sears shelter. When I visited that shelter, thank you to George Devendorf and Stacy Bork and everybody at Transition Projects. When I visited a couple of weeks ago, a woman, Shelley, told me that it was her first time being homeless. She confided that she'd been really fearful living out on the street. But she said, "Now I'm inside, I'm safe, and I can make plans." Now the second part of our state of emergency, deliberate experimentation. Today I'm proud to announce a new partnership that will help people like Carl and Shelley. The city is partnering with Portland Public Schools to use a now empty building for a Portland Homeless Navigation Center, an innovation in how shelters operate, working in a way that builds on people's inherent dignity. During the West Coast Mayor's Summit in December, San Francisco Mayor Ed Lee talked about the incredible benefits that such a center provides to people working to transition off the street. Commissioner Saltzman, Chair Kafoury, and I toured the center a month later. We were so impressed with the humanity that it provides and the data that show that this innovation really works. 46% of their clients come from homeless camps, and nearly 60% have left to permanent housing in San Francisco or back in their hometowns. Our Navigation Center will help us provide people a path away from trauma, off the streets, and into a successful life. The third piece, real money. During the first 4 months of our state of emergency, the city and the county have allocated many millions more dollars to new affordable housing projects. We now have more than $350 million, more than $1/3 billion, dedicated to creating thousands of affordable housing units over the next 10 years. And we passed renter protection to help prevent unexpected rent hikes and eviction notices that force people out of their homes. Now renters get 90 days notice to plan their next move. And because of that successful legislative session, we now have renter protections at the state level and landmark legislation that lifted the state preemption on inclusionary zoning. Thank you again, Oregon State Legislature. Senator Dembrow, Representative Alyssa Kenny-Geyer are here. That forum that you held, I think, convinced everyone, and we're glad you convinced your colleagues. You made history, and we appreciate you. We're moving with purpose towards that day when our officers will be able to say, you can't sleep there, but there's a place for you over there. We can finish that sentence together. These are all critical tools for supporting housing affordability in Portland. But our reality is that we are still in a true state of housing emergency. This affordability crisis is forcing people out of their homes and pushing Portland toward the brink of becoming San Francisco. We fear that, but what does it really mean? What would that be like? It would be a city where only 10% of homes are affordable by the middle class. A city where only people with six-figure incomes could even live in the city. A city where people have to travel 50 miles and 90 minutes to get to work. For too many Portlanders and too many stories, this is already a reality, and that's why managing growth is so important. We must use all those tools for housing affordability, but we also must broaden our housing supply as we seize the opportunity to grow, but grow on our terms. We have one chance to get it right, to make Portland a sustainable, livable, and equitable city of 800,000 people. The Portland we love may be here in 20 years, but it's not going to happen by accident. As commissioner, I served during another big wave of growth. I was proud to help create the great urban neighborhoods that we now know as the Pearl District and the South Waterfront. With the first park bond measure in 50 years, we expanded our park system and built the Southwest Community Center, the East Portland Community Center, and the Mount Scott Pool. We launched the Portland Streetcar, the first modern streetcar project in the United States, and created the MAX red and yellow lines. This planning and smart growth built the foundation for the booming Portland that we love today. Now we need to choose our future in the face of major and sustained growth. The 2035 Comprehensive Plan is our map for our growth for the next 20 years, and it's critical that we get it right. What does that look like? One, it doubles down on making our transit-rich central city as walkable and bikeable as possible, supporting it as the economic powerhouse of our city. Two, it protects great old historic buildings. We need to remove the incentive for developers to buy up large lots in neighborhoods and beautiful old houses on them, demolish them, and cram a couple of unaffordable houses onto that lot. It's a bad bargain, and we need to take it off the table. Three, it brings more great mixed-use places to more parts of our city, especially East Portland. This is the chance to deliver on our promise of bringing the complete neighborhood package that most of the city enjoys to East Portland, with mixed-use development, safer streets and sidewalks, and better transit. There's some other steps that your city council is taking to steer Portland towards the future that we want. We've been talking for decades about getting the post office out of the urban core and out to the airport. It's been in the wrong place since the trains stopped delivering the mail. I'm excited that 13 acres that will now be added to the Pearl District will be transformed with 4,000 jobs and 2,400 housing units, many of them affordable. Thank you, Tom Kelly, and the Portland Development Commission Board, and Patrick Quinton. With Commissioner Novik's leadership and City Club's advocacy, we'll see a gas tax on the May ballot, and I urge all Portlanders to vote for it. Thank you, Steve Novik, for your undaunted courage on this issue. To help preserve our city's heritage, the City Council also approved my deconstruction resolution, making Portland the first city in the country to require deconstruction of old homes. This will reduce the health and pollution risks that come with demolition, as well as reducing waste that goes to the landfill. And each deconstruction creates a few jobs, better for our health, better for the environment, better for the economy. Now, infill can be positive. It can be smart growth, or it can be negative erosion of neighborhood character. And that's why I launched the Residential Infill Project to address the scale and design of new homes and home additions. This year, the City Council will consider recommendations for better design and better infill development, because city planning done right will help us prevent becoming San Francisco. It will keep space for economic opportunity and innovation. It will make our neighborhoods more walkable and connected while saving great old buildings from short-sighted greed. It will provide more development capacity, creating more housing and more economic opportunity, more space to absorb that growth. We are 600,000 Portlanders. Soon we will be 800,000. With intentional planning and careful placemaking, we can keep the Portland we love as we welcome more Portlanders and more stories to our great city. Just as the challenges of growth require intentionality and creativity, so does the mandate of climate change. Portland and other cities must lead the world in innovative climate action. If you aren't convinced of the importance of this issue, you should listen to our kids. You should listen to what students from Metropolitan Learning Center and Sunnyside Environmental School had to say about the need for Portland to be bold. One MLC student, Isabel, said, "If we don't take action now, we will never grasp the opportunity to stop climate change. This is our future. We're the ones who have to fix climate change in a way that's never been done before. This is our future, and our voices should count." A Sunnyside student, Leilani, said, "Every time I look at my baby sister, I wonder what the world will be like in 12 years when she's my age, or 20 years when she's grown up. Please don't let future generations look at a dying Earth and say that we're the generation that killed it. Let them look back and say that we're the generation that saved it. They're right to call on us for local leadership in this global challenge, because cities have long been laboratories of innovation and the locus of action on climate change. Cities are engaged in a virtuous competition to see who can get to a green future faster. But despite our ambitious local climate goals and impressive action items, for a long time it felt like we cities were banging on the doors of our national governments trying to be heard. Then, last summer, Pope Francis invited 60 mayors to the Vatican for a climate summit. Not national environment ministers, mayors. The Pope told us that addressing climate change is a moral imperative for humanity and that change must come from the periphery to the center. Now the global commitment to climate action has been reinvigorated. Since the Vatican summit, world leaders in Paris struck a historic agreement. President Obama advanced a clean power plan. Our state legislature passed a landmark coal-free Oregon bill, and the Portland City Council approved a historic fossil fuel resolution, the strongest in the country, and Pembina got the message. We've heeded that call and are helping build an international movement to leave it in the ground. Now, Portland is engaged in another virtuous competition. 2 weeks ago, U.S. Secretary of Transportation Anthony Fox told us that we are one of 7 Smart Cities Challenge finalists vying for $50 million to implement an innovative, high-tech transportation system, and we're in it to win it. We are that place that can teach the rest of the world how to be an environmental trailblazer. I've got proof. Today, I'm proud to announce some important progress. Portland's effort to grow sustainably has now resulted in a 21% reduction in total carbon emissions from our 1990 levels. Even as our population and jobs have grown substantially, a 21% reduction. That's a good start. To build on this progress, I'm announcing 3 more initiatives that will keep Portland's carbon emissions on the decline. First, we'll expand the competitive marketplace for energy efficiency that we created for commercial buildings to include homes. Energy reporting for commercial buildings has created an incentive to be energy efficient, saving time, money, and reducing carbon emissions. It's the same with home energy scores. Those will encourage homeowners and developers to make houses more efficient. Secondly, we will nearly reach my goal of doubling the amount of solar on city-owned facilities with new solar panels on the Southwest Community Center, the groundwater pump station, and the Ash Street Fire Station. Along with the new solar panels being installed on the Portland Police Bureau's North Precinct, we'll produce solar now at 16 facilities. Now that the Oregon legislature has set us free to do so, we also plan to launch our first community solar project at a city-owned site near the Bull Run Reservoir. With community solar, people whose houses aren't conducive to panels or who live in apartments can pay into a solar project and then receive the benefit of that clean energy to their homes. When our proposed 2-megawatt site comes online, we will more than triple the amount of solar on city-owned facilities. Commissioner Fish, I look forward to you having your partnership in doing this good thing. Thank you. With these actions, we can reduce Portland's carbon emissions by another 7%, putting us well on our way to meeting our goal of reducing total emissions by 80% by 2050. You know, I was on the City Council that passed the first climate action plan in the country. We were trailblazing then, and we are now. With solar investments, green bonds, and divestment, and the innovations that we will share with the nation in the Smart Cities Challenge, and our firm stand against expanding fossil fuel infrastructure, Portland will remain in the lead. We are 600,000 Portlanders, and each of us can be bold and conscientious as we lead on climate action like the earth depended on it. We as Portlanders face real challenge: youth violence, institutional racism, an affordability crisis, climate change. I've asked you to look over the horizon and into Portland's future, and there are both perils and opportunities there. I know that we will creatively tackle those problems, and we will seize those opportunities that keep Portland the place we love. Because we're bound together by the fact that we are all Portlanders, and we love this place. We are Portlanders like Officer Arnold, who saw a loaded gun but recognized crisis, and saved a suicidal man so that he could be there for the birth of his child. We are Portlanders like the Menashe family, who donated prime space in a downtown location so that homeless men can sleep out of the cold. We're Portlanders like Lamar Winston Jr., who defied his circumstances and became an inspiration and a success. We're Portlanders like Sukita and Tyrone, entrepreneurs whose creativity and innovation are part of our city's DNA. We can keep Portland, the city we love, into the future, but it won't happen by accident. I'm confident that the state of our city is strong and we will make our future bright because we know how to come together in stewardship of this great place, because we still feel like we live in a big, small town and we actually care about our neighbors, each and every one of them, because we are Portlanders. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mayor Hales. We've come really to the end of the time that we have available, so we'll have to skip our ordinary Q&A session. I think I'll take the the initiative and ask one question of you, which is that you've served 2 tours of duty in Portland city government. What is the biggest difference between your experiences in your first tour in the 1990s and your second tour in the mid-teens?
2 big differences. I'll take that prerogative. One, I didn't fully understand the heft that comes with the title of mayor. When in our form of government, all of us manage departments. We all have the same vote. We are a team of 5 who run the city. And yet, that title of mayor means that not only your phone is the one that rings in the middle of the night in tragedy, but also that when middle schoolers see you, they say, "It's the mayor." So the heft of the job is different than I expected. Secondly, because of what's changed in the media and the loss of a daily newspaper here, it's very difficult for Portlanders, beyond those who take the trouble to stay informed, to know what's going on. And I think that's a threat to our civic democracy that doesn't have an obvious solution.
Very good. We're out of broadcast time now. As we close, remember that because of the very generous offer from Bill Dickey of a drawing for 2 free plane tickets, this is a great day to join City Club. This is Greg McPherson, President of City Club. Please join me in thanking Portland Mayor Charlie Hales, as well as KJ Lewis, who produced this program. We're adjourned.